Hello everyone, and welcome back to Half Magic Tarot. Today's pick a card reading is Who is your future spouse? So this is details about what they are like as a person, what their relationship with you might be like. There are 4 piles to choose from here, and I suggest selecting your pile based on the pile marker that sparks a memory in you. So for example, I would choose pile 1, the gardener, because when I was a little kid, I would visit my great-grandmother, and she had this really wonderful backyard where there was like a lot of flowers, and there was a little bench just sitting there, and it was right next to a pond, and I just loved being there as a kid. And the imagery on this card reminds me of that, so that's why I would choose that. I will put the timestamps in the description down below, so feel free to pause now to select your own pile, and let's get started. If you selected pile 1, the gardener, welcome to your reading. Let's get details about your future spouse. So I want to start off by saying the zodiac signs that I'm picking up from this pile. We have Cancer, Gemini, which are back-to-back signs. So it could be someone who's on the Gemini-Cancer cusp, which is like June 21st, 22nd, or they could just be like a Cancer with a lot of Gemini placements or a Gemini with some Cancer placements. We also have Scorpio and Pisces represented here. So those are some signs of what your future spouse's sun sign might be, or another prominent area in their chart, like their moon sign, their rising sign, their Venus. But generally, they kind of have qualities of all of these astrological signs, which I will get into as I go card by card. So let's start off here with this first card, the Chariot. And the Chariot is a card that can indicate someone who is successful. So definitely, I think in terms of their career, this is someone that is well established. And in particular, they're established because of how driven they are. This is someone who definitely knows how to take practical steps to reach their goal. So if they decide that they want to do something, they will figure out a way to do it. Even if it takes them a while, they have a certain level of dedication and they know how to push themselves to persevere through something. Another thing with this person is that they can be very much like a leader. This is someone who has very cardinal energy. They know what they want and they go after it. And so I think that is also going to be similar to how they pursue you when they first meet you. They meet you, they know they like you, they go after you. So definitely I do sense that you are more in a receptive energy to this person. This one is definitely a much heavier pursuer. And I think that's just in their personality because they do come across as very like protective. Almost like paternal, not necessarily that they are, masculine or they can be, but more just like this person really values those like traditional archetypes of masculinity and like fatherhood, for example. So this is definitely someone who believes that they should be taking care of their family members and their friends, financially, materially, but also being able to protect you physically and emotionally. And I think that emotional distinction is really important here because I think there are a lot of people who think just being like a quote unquote provider is enough. But if you don't have that emotional connection, or if you're not there for someone to have a shoulder to cry on, it doesn't really carry that same emotional weight necessarily. But I really think, especially with the Chariot here, that this person really values your moods, your feelings. They want to know about how you feel and they want to make it better if you're upset or you're sad or you're angry. And the reason why I say that is because the Chariot is a card that astrologically represents Cancer. And if you know anything about the sign of Cancer, that it's represented by a crab. So if you think about a crab, like a beach crab, they have this hard outer shell and then they have really soft insides. And Cancers are kind of known for the same way. They're cardinal signs, so they are leaders. They can be very protective, very testy of their home and the people that they care about in their own space. They can be but inside they're very sensitive. They're very empathetic, very nurturing. So I think that is the kind of energy that this person has, where they are so soft with you, but if anyone tried to mess with you, they would go insane. And I think that's especially true because you're their soulmate. I mean, the next card we have here is the Lovers, which is kind of the ultimate soulmate card in the tarot. And this also indicates to me that you two really just complement each other well. If you look at the imagery on this card, there's these two cups on top, and the Two of Cups in tarot represent like a relationship, a lot of times a romantic relationship. And if you look at the cups, one of them has the moon and one of them has a sun, which we kind of think about being like opposite luminaries, but in a lot of ways they are very complementary of each other. This is the feminine and masculine, the yin and yang. This is light and darkness. This is being able to be at your happiest and also reveal your deepest secrets to this person. So I definitely think you complement each other and you feel very safe with each other, and you really feel like you can discuss anything that you need to with this person, because the Lovers I also see as a card about having really excellent communication, which I really do think is the cornerstone of any romantic relationship. But I'm also a Gemini Venus, so but I think that definitely with this person you have similar interests, you have similar things that you want to talk about, you never really run out of things to say to each other. The third card in your spread here is Lust, and this is this particular deck's version of Death. So this is where that Scorpio energy comes in. So I'm really picking up from this person that one of the reasons that they are simultaneously very empathetic but also very protective is because I think your future spouse has gone through a lot in their life. And that is one of the reasons why they really have this kind of bootstraps mentality of being able to just get themselves out of any situation. If they want to make something happen, they have to make it happen for themselves. They're not really used to being able to rely on other people. And I think, again, it's because they've had a lot of like turmoil, maybe in their childhood, that really caused them to learn to be very self-reliant. But I'm also getting that this taught them a lot about boundaries and what they are and aren't willing to accept. And so I think this particular card also represents when this person comes into your life, that is a huge lesson of the relationship for you. This is something that really rubs off on you from your future spouse. You learn how to set your own boundaries. A lot of you that are watching this might be a little bit of pushovers or doormats, or you have a really hard time with confrontation, or you're someone who can be like taken advantage of pretty easily. And I think that your future spouse, because they are protective of you, they're really going to assist you in being able to draw those harder boundaries, which I know may be a little bit difficult for you, but I think this person's depth, these bad things that have happened to them have really made them so much wiser. And again, you get to kind of absorb that wisdom secondhand without having to go through that same thing. And another thing that I'm getting from this card, because again, it is renamed Lust in this deck, is this really reminds me of what the French call, in French obviously, but I can't speak French, the little death. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can Google it. But I would say that you and this person have a lot of physical chemistry. Maybe in the bedroom, you're very well matched. You have a lot of fun with this person. And the next card that we have here is this Maiden of Wands, or the Page of Wands. And this is like a message coming toward you that is about creativity, about fire, about passion. And so again, I do think that this person is the first one to approach you, and they're the kind of spouse who really reminds you every day like how attractive they are to you, how exciting you are to them, how much fun they have with you. This is the kind of person who if you come home from work, they're like, do you want to go out and try that new Indian restaurant down the street? You know, this person definitely enjoys having new experiences with you. They like variety because that is the spice of life. They like to try new things, most definitely. Another thing that I'm getting here is that this person kind of inspires you in a lot of ways. So again, they inspire you to kind of set these boundaries, but also with the Page of Wands here, they inspire you to kind of try new things or to be like the best version of yourself, which I think is a really good place to be in a relationship. It's like that feeling when you go and you like, I don't know, maybe you watch a really good movie or you go to a concert or you just see someone that you really admire and you're like, you know what? I'm going to start trying to like embody the confidence and the self-assuredness that I saw in that character or that singer or that person that I'm friends with, whatever it is. And so I think you feel more confident, you feel more able to pursue your own goals and dreams through this person's support because they are very supportive. And with your final card here being the Witch of Cups or the Knight of Cups, this is really about how romantic they are. This is the most romantic knight in all of the tarot. This is someone who definitely believes in chivalry. They bring you the chocolate, they bring you the flowers, they celebrate Valentine's Day with you or White Day or whatever your culture's version of that is. And they they really value those traditional modes of courting, and they want to impress you. They never want you to feel like they are taking you for granted, which is why they continuously try to keep that creativity and that spark and that romance alive. Now, this is all coming through in the pile marker that you selected, which is the Gardener. And I just wanted to read you an excerpt from the passage about this particular card in the guidebook because it very perfectly, I think, encapsulates your future spouse's vibe. So here's what it says. Sometimes the gardener has to work hard so that when harvest time comes, he can enjoy the full bounty of his reward. He learns how to be in harmony with the garden seasons and thereby profits from her beauty and abundance, while she benefits from his strength and diligence. The gardener finds a certain kind of inner peace with all aspects of his garden because it keeps him connected to the great feminine cycles of nature and Mother Earth. In nature, you cannot force or rush things. You cannot have fruit from your tree without planting the seed first and tending it patiently. So what I'm getting from this is that your future spouse really, first of all, enjoys nurturing you, enjoys babying you, enjoys doing all of these things for you. It's really important to them to feel like they're supporting you and making sure that you're comfortable, and they recognize that you, like every human being, like a garden, has its seasons. Sometimes you're not going to be growing as much, but this person accepts you where you are and they support you anyway because that is what they expect in return. This is a very symbiotic relationship. This person also is extremely hardworking. So again, I do think probably they are pretty well established in their career. They know what they want and they go after goals. So for example, if they say, I want a promotion at work, they're already working toward it. If they say, I really want to go on a vacation, they're already looking up like dates for it to happen. This is someone who puts their thoughts into action. They put the action behind their words. So you never really have to guess with this person because they really value like acts of service, for example. Also, I think this person really values your softness because I think it reminds them to slow down and be more gentle with themselves, because I do feel like your future spouse, again, has been through something that made them very self-reliant. And so I think you really allow them to blossom and open up a little bit because you make them feel so safe around you. Your future spouse is also extremely patient. Again, this is not someone that wants to rush you or change you. They do want you to grow because this person is always in the pursuit of self-growth, and they kind of expect someone who also is interested in self-optimization, but they're not going to like try to force you to fit into a certain box. They just want to grow to love the person that you become with each other. And I think that's also why it comes for you very naturally to eventually be so much better at establishing boundaries because this person's there kind of supporting you through that. So Your first love oracle card from the Island Time Wellness deck says healthy choices. This says making healthy choices in love and in life, self-love, self-care, and being happier. So I think this person, first of all, through your relationship with each other, your future spouse starts caring for themselves more, because I do think there's a possibility here that they tend to be a workaholic, or they tend to kind of extend themselves for everyone else and not really take the time out to pamper themselves. And so I think you really pour that back into them. But also I think this person really teaches you some stuff about self-care too, like establishing boundaries, learning how to say no to people, learning how to conserve your own energy. Now, the second card here is Axe, which says breakup, separation, stop the pattern, silent treatment, or abandonment. Now, don't get worried about this card, because as soon as I saw it, what I really thought was this is the character trait of this person. If something's not working for them anymore, they are very quick to just chop it off. They're not afraid to leave something behind if it's like gone stagnant, if it's going to drag them down. So, for example, if this person was in a job where they hated it and they felt like it was a dead end, they're immediately looking at other jobs. If this person feels betrayed by a friend, they're immediately going to tell that friend, listen, that was really uncool. I can't accept that. I don't want to be friends with you anymore. And so again, I think that ability to stand up for yourself and decide what you deserve and be able to implement that in your boundaries with situations or other people is something that really does rub off on you through your relationship with your future spouse. So I would say overall, that's very cute, my pile ones. Congratulations. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I put out a new video once a week. Thank you again, and take care. If you selected Pile 2, the Divine Masculine, welcome to your reading. Let's figure out some details about your future spouse. So I want to start off by talking about some of the zodiac signs I'm seeing represented here. So we have Cancer, we have Taurus, Libra, and Virgo. I'm getting most strongly the Taurus and the Virgo though. So those could be the sun sign of your future spouse, or they could have one of those zodiac placements in another part of their chart. So their moon sign, their rising sign, their Venus, or they just generally are embodying some of the traits of these different signs, which I will get into as I get more in depth with each of the cards. So the first card that we have in your spread here is this High Priestess. And what I'm getting is that I do think your future spouse is someone who is actually extremely intuitive. So I feel that this person kind of senses when you're on the precipice of coming into their life, because I don't think that this is someone that you have met yet. I do think this is a new person, or you are new to them maybe. So maybe you're peripherally aware of them, but I don't think they've really met you or been aware of you. But I think as you get closer to meeting, this person kind of feels intuitively that they're about to meet someone important. The High Priestess is someone who really has a lot of gut feelings, a lot of intuition, and is really good at acting on them. They can be extremely intelligent. So probably this person is very smart. And they also tend to be people that seem kind of introverted or quiet. So your future spouse might come across as like a person of few words at first, but I think they're just naturally more observational than they're more comfortable being part of the scenery than someone who is causing things to change in the scenery. Does that make sense? They really they have almost like a writerly sensibility of kind of just wanting to watch people to understand them better because a lot of the times the way that people act when they don't think that they're being observed heavily really says a lot about who they are as a person. So definitely I think this person has that kind of curiosity about human nature and that very observational, kind of quiet energy. I don't think this person is shy though. It's really more just like they kind of keep to themselves. They could be like a real homebody. But they can come off as pretty mysterious. So when you first see this person, you might be like, who is that? And maybe no one around you even really knows anything about them or who they are, or maybe there's like weird rumors about them, because it's very easy to project like anything on someone who has kind of made themselves a mirror or a blank slate. And I think that is the effect that your future spouse has a lot of the time. Another thing that I'm picking up from this card is that their initials could start with the letter B or the letter J or have a B or J in them. But generally they are someone who comes across as like they have a lot of hidden depth. Now, the next card in your spread here is the Seven of Pentacles. And this is why I say that I think this is really a new person, someone that you have not previously been with, because with the Seven of Pentacles, this is a card that is really about waiting. And I think that this person is very patient. Your future spouse has a lot of patience, and they tend to really stick to things. This is someone who has a hard time maybe leaving things behind. They like to be comfortable instead of changing all the time. They would much rather, like, this is the kind of person who would be like, I'm okay with working the same job for 20 years and just climbing up the ladder versus like changing jobs every 2 years, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but they really value that kind of stability. And I'm also getting that I do think this person, up until you meet, has been single for quite some time. And they really have been craving that very special kind of soulmate, future spouse connection by the time that you come in. And you coming into their life is represented in the middle of the spread here by this Ace of Wands. So aces are new opportunities, new beginnings. And with the Ace of Wands in particular, I'm kind of seeing this as almost like a love at first sight, or I think there's like a Japanese word that means you see someone and you immediately know that you kind of have the potential to fall in love with them. I think that is how this person sees you. And I do think that you bond over some kind of shared interest when you first meet them. So maybe you get to talking and you really like the same TV show, or you play the same instrument, or you have just read the same book, or you listen to the same podcast, whatever it is. There's something that you have in common that really sets off the motion with this person. Now, I'm also getting that this person, I think, to you is very physically attractive. When you first meet them, you find them to be like just your type, perfect. Now, with the next card in your spread being this Witch of Pentacles, this is equivalent to the Knight of Pentacles, and this is really your future spouse's overall energy. So the Knight of Pentacles is someone who really embodies dedication, patience, stability, the willingness to slow down, the eagerness to do things correctly. This is not someone who's like overly ambitious necessarily. Like, they're not someone who's like, I'm going to start a Fortune 500 company. I'm going to do this and this, or I'm going to go move to this country and I'm going to do this and this. This is someone who is definitely satisfied with a simple existence. But don't confuse simple for mediocre, because this person would not be satisfied with a mediocre existence. They really, everything they do, everything they put their mind to, everything that has their name on it, they want it to be perfect. So this person really does do their best in every area of their life. But this is not someone who's necessarily trying to like expand their life. So let me give you an example of that. Let's say at work, they are a really excellent employee. They probably get really great performance reviews. They've gotten promotions. They've gotten raises. But they don't really have any desire to kind of like use that leverage of promotions to go anywhere else. They're very satisfied where they are. They don't really want to like move. They don't really want to have to necessarily change what they're comfortable with. And so this person really values comfort, obviously. But the thing about this person is that I think the ways that they express that in your relationship is they really like spending quality time with you. This is not someone who's going to get bored of you the more time you spend together. Your familiarity with each other is not going to make them not excited for you anymore. This is not someone who's only attached to like the honeymoon phase. This is someone who really values mundane things. Like, I think with your future spouse, one of their favorite things is just being able to like put away the mugs from the dishwasher or from the sink and watch you like pick one up in the morning and drink coffee with you outside on the porch or on the balcony or in the living room, whatever it is. This person really likes those simple moments with you, and that's what makes them feel the most close to you. And with the Empress at the end of your spread, this is definitely someone that I can see you starting a family with. So if that is something that you are interested in, having children, I definitely think that you could do it with this person. The Empress is about abundance. So I feel like you feel really rich in love with this person. You feel like you're really well taken care of. This person could also really be interested in like gift giving as a love language. So maybe they really enjoy like buying you jewelry or taking you on vacations. They want to give you things. I think they work so hard to be able to kind of take that back and share it with you. Another thing that I'm getting is that this person really values like aesthetics and beauty. So this is definitely not someone who has like a sloppy home or apartment or whatever. They are pretty clean. They take care of themselves. They really appreciate like art. And so maybe that's something that they like to do with you is decorate the home, because again, this person is a homebody. They value comfort above all. They have very strong like Taurus energy, most definitely. This person just wants to like sit on the couch and eat pizza with you and just watch a nice movie, cuddle up, have a nice soft blanket draped over you. They really enjoy those simple pleasures, and I think that's really sweet. And with your pile marker that you selected, it's the divine masculine. So obviously this person definitely has very masculine energy. They don't necessarily have to be a man, but they really embody the masculine energy, or at least more masculine than you. And I wanted to read a section from the guidebook for this about this particular card, because I think it really encapsulates the vibe, the message from this. So, this masculine energy is characterized by protecting what is truly valuable, being attentive, helpful, and able to make decisions. It displays leadership qualities, a sense of accomplishment, and sets goals, building and creating for the good of all rather than individual gain, while facing and overcoming challenges in a more linear, direct approach to getting things done. The masculine is sensitive, spiritual, and intuitive, but he approaches and expresses these qualities in ways that are different from the feminine. The masculine enjoys getting results and experiencing a physical outcome from his effort, often utilizing art or music as a rich embellishment to honor the feminine energy that also flows through his creation. So again, I do feel like this person is really big on aesthetics, so they could really enjoy art, could really enjoy music, are very intuitive people. This is someone who really sets goals and sticks to them, and they're not very selfish. You know, everything that they've accomplished, they really accomplish it because they want to share it with you. So your first love oracle card here says karmic relationships. So it says fleeting, triggers, turmoil, resentment, lessons, letting go, and loving you. So don't look at this and be scared, because I'm also interpreting these cards as kind of messages about the person and not necessarily your relationship. So I think maybe this is the reason why this person has been single for a little bit before they come into you. This person really had a lot of lessons to learn when it came to love. They had to let go of some of their triggers. And I think this person maybe in the past became attached to people who weren't as interested in like the domestic life or kind of creating this home together in the way that I think you will be with this person. So I think This person in the past has maybe pursued people who did not want the same thing as them, and because they tend to continue to put effort into anything, I think they ended up getting their feelings hurt because they kept trying to make the relationship be something that it wasn't. And so I think that's why they kind of take a break from dating or love, and then they see you, and then that's how you get together. The second card here is Girl Talk, which says time with friends, moving on, happily single, living in the moment, and having fun. So again, I do think that is kind of where your future spouse is right now, where they are single. They're not really necessarily looking for anyone yet. They do want to find the kind of love that they've dreamed about eventually, but they're not trying to rush it. They're not trying to make a square fit into a circle. They feel like when the person comes, they'll know it, and I really think they do. With this Ace of Wands in the middle, when they see you, they just kind of have that gut feeling because they are very intuitive that you are meant to be together. I think this person also really values love as friendship. So they want to be your best friend. They want to be the person that you come home to and you tell them the gossip, or you can talk about your day, or you can tell them your innermost thoughts or your fears. This person definitely values that intimacy of familiarity. And I think that you will be very happy with this person. You'll have a very calm, stable household with this person. So congratulations to you, my pile twos. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I put out a new video once a week. Thank you again, and take care. If you selected pile 3, abundance, welcome to your reading. Let's figure out details about your future spouse. So before I begin, I want to go ahead and point out the astrological signs that I'm seeing come up here. So we have Virgo, Pisces, Leo, and Gemini represented here. So your future spouse could have one of those signs as their sun sign, or they could have it in another placement in their chart, like their moon or their rising sign or their Venus. The signs that I'm picking up most strongly here are Virgo and Gemini. These are both signs that are ruled by the planet Mercury, which is the planet of communication, wit, travel, movement. So I think these are really qualities that represent your future spouse. This is someone who is likely extremely intelligent, someone who, upon meeting them, your first conversation with them, you can tell that they are a very smart person. They're a well-learned person, a well-read person. This is someone who really values intellect, but they're not boring. I think sometimes when someone seems smart, they can come across as like very serious in a way that is not very fun. But Mercurial energy, which is what your future spouse has, is also an energy that is kind of playful because there's an inquisitiveness, a curiosity that comes with that. There's an eagerness to kind of learn new things and try new things and kind of collect information. Your future spouse has a cosmophagic quality, which means they want to like eat the universe. They want to know everything there is to know. And I think for your future spouse, knowledge is definitely power. This is someone who feels comfortable the more that they know about a particular situation. So they are probably really excelling in their career at work because they are someone who really likes to know the exact process. They want to have as much information available to assist them in any task that they're doing. I think that's also their approach to getting to know you. So this is someone that in the courting stage of your relationship, when you first start dating, definitely their favorite way to get to know you is like playing 20 questions. This person wants to hear all about your life. They want to know all your stories, all your memories, what your opinions are on certain things. And that is how this person really expresses their interest, is asking you questions and having conversations with you. So the first card in your spread here is the Hermit. And as I said, this is a card that represents the zodiac sign Virgo, so that is where some of this mercurial energy is coming from. But the Hermit in particular is someone who is comfortable being alone. So I think that your future spouse is someone who does find comfort in their own presence. And in particular, this is someone who is extremely self-reflective and self-aware. So your future spouse could be someone who journals a lot. I'm also thinking they could probably be in therapy of some kind. This person has definitely done a lot of shadow work. They're not afraid to really examine kind of the dark or negative aspects of themselves and try to get to the bottom of it. This person is definitely someone who is extremely interested in self-improvement, and I think that reflectiveness is something that you're really going to appreciate, because I think maybe a lot of the people that you have previously dated were not as interested in self-growth, and because of that they were a little stagnant. This person is definitely not stagnant. They are constantly evolving, constantly trying to get better. Another thing that I'm picking up with this card is that this person could be older than you. So the Hermit is often represented by like an older person. So very literally, this person could be older than you in years and in age, or this person could just seem older than you in terms of personality. They have a little bit of an old soul. And something that comes with that maturity, whether that's actual literal age maturity or just emotional maturity or both, is the ability to really ascertain, define, pinpoint your emotions and be able to communicate them well and be able to recognize where they stem from. So that really taps back into the self-reflective quality of your future spouse. The reason why I say that is because on the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck for the Hermit card, it's usually depicted as someone who is like walking in snow. And in tarot, water represents emotions, air represents intellect. And so I see snow as the intellectualizing of your emotions. So this is someone who really has studied their emotions, knows how to communicate them, knows where they're coming from. They're really able to take a step back and be objective about their feelings. And I think for that reason also, they tend to make really good mediators at work or in their friend groups. So if someone comes to them and they have an issue, they're really good at giving objective advice. The next card in your spread here is the Moon. And this card is really about those shadowy depths. So paired with the Hermit here, again, I do feel like this person has done a ton of self-reflection. This person really has spent a lot of time thinking about themselves and working on themselves emotionally, trying to improve themselves, because I think this person has a tendency to feel like they have to be perfect in order to be loved, or in order to deserve to relax, in order to deserve to have fun within their life. And so I think you coming into their life when you start dating this person really helps them relax a little bit more, because this person does tend to be they overburden themselves with the amount of responsibility they feel they need to take on in order to like earn respect or time off, or in order to feel accomplished. Another thing that I'm getting is that this person can be quite daydreamy. So this is someone who, because they are intelligent and because they have this really innate curiosity, this is someone who is very good at like envisioning futures for themselves, for the world. This person probably has an extreme interest in politics, because I think this combination, it just reminds me of someone who's like, this is the kind of revolution that we need. This is the kind of political movement that we need. This is what would most benefit humankind or myself. So this is definitely someone who is very forward thinking, and they do have a lot of fantasies, and I think also they have a lot of fantasies when it comes to you. They really this is someone who probably, when they are alone after they've met you, they do kind of daydream about you and think about things that they would like to be doing with you. So the card in the middle of your spread here is this Crone of Wands, and this is equivalent to the King of Wands. So this is someone who has kind of natural leadership abilities. And this is someone who, again, is pretty creative, pretty forward-thinking. I don't know that it's creative necessarily in like an artistic way. It's more like this person is very good at coming up with solutions for issues, which again kind of taps back into that thing. I feel like they'd be very good with politics, or they are very politically minded people generally, but people also come to them for advice because they are very good at speaking objectively, finding the best path forward, and I think that you really value being able to get advice from them. And another thing that I'm picking up from this is that this person can be quite funny. So, but it's almost in like an unassuming way. Like, I don't think it wouldn't be the first word that people use to describe them, but I do think it's one of those things that as people get to know them more, they're like, actually, this person is very funny. Because, again, this person is really good at being alone, but I don't think they're shy. They really value their own company, and they don't really let their guard down that easily. And that also taps back into that moon card that we just went over, because if you think about the moon, think about the new moon. When the new moon happens, you see nothing in the sky, and then it very slowly starts revealing itself until you get to the full moon. And so I feel like that also represents how this person comes across to other people at first. They don't really know what your future spouse is about. They don't really get all of the aspects of their personality, but your future spouse kind of slowly reveals themselves. And I think that is similar to how your relationship with this person will evolve, where at first, you're not really sure where you stand with this person, or you're not really sure about them. And then over time, you really come to admire these different qualities that this person has. The next card that we have in your spread here is this 10 of Wands. Now, this is a card that is completely about taking on way more responsibility than you need to. I often see this as the perfectionist card. This is someone who trusts themselves more than anyone else. This is someone who is very self-reliant, and I think this is a combination of, one, your future spouse being someone who is very used to being alone, who enjoys being alone, who enjoys doing things themselves, and two, being someone who is extremely smart. So this is the energy of someone who, in college or school or university, whatever you want to call it, if they had a group project, this is your future spouse is a person who would take the project and do it all themselves, and they would do it well, but it's not that they had to do it themselves. It was just that they didn't really trust other people to do things to the standard that they are used to. And I think that because your future spouse kind of operates in this way, where they would rather do it themselves and have it done in a way that they feel proud of than have to rely on other people or outsource to other people, your future spouse does tend to get stressed out, overwhelmed, burned out pretty frequently. And so I think in your relationship with this person, you will have to say you need to take a time out, or you don't have to do all of this. No one, asked you to take on this responsibility. This is something that you have done to yourself, basically. And I think your future spouse will appreciate that. So the final card in your spread here is this Witch of Swords, which is equivalent to the Knight of Swords. And this is someone, again, who is extremely intelligent and very passionate about what they have to say. This is someone who really enjoys debating. They enjoy sharing their opinions on things and learning other people's opinions. So again, I feel like a lot of your conversations with this person are, sharing your opinions on pop culture, on books, on people, on philosophies. This is a very philosophical thinker. And this is definitely someone who can be pretty stubborn when it comes to what they believe in. That being said, if they do not know about a certain situation or topic, this is not someone who is going to pretend. This is not someone who is afraid to admit that they don't know something. But also, if they have to say they don't know or they're not informed enough to have an opinion, they will go out and research so that way they can be prepared for next time, because again, this person's very curious. They want to be like a jack of all trades and have knowledge about everything. And I think this person, a lot of the times, to strangers, can come across as kind of blunt because they are hard to read emotionally, because they are so kind of insular. But again, I think it's something that once you get to know this person better, once anyone gets to know this person better, it's very easy to understand the nuances of their personality more. So with your True Love reading card that you selected as your pile marker, this says abundance. So if you think of abundance, a lot of the times it comes across as financial abundance. I mean, on this card, there's a lot of gold and coins. And so this person definitely is probably wealthy. They're probably well off at their job. Again, they're probably pretty established in their career, because I do think this person is older than you. They're very intelligent. They're kind of naturally leaders. So they are probably making pretty good money. But this card in itself is not just about financial abundance. This is also about creative abundance. And I think this person has an abundance of knowledge. They have an abundance of curiosity. They, are really trying to get their hands into as many different areas and try as many things as they possibly can. And I think that's what really interests you about this person, because this is someone who has stories, who's really, they've probably traveled a lot as well. So I think that you find this person to be very fascinating. For your love oracle cards, the first one we have is Palm Tree, which says stability, security, permanence, growth, endurance, and flexibility. And so I do feel like this person is well established. They have a certain level of confidence where they are, but they're never satisfied. They're never stagnant. They're constantly growing. They're constantly evolving. And I think that's one of the things that you really admire about your future spouse. The second card we have here is Clock, which says need time, takes time, in time, cycles, time to heal, and progress. And so to me, this kind of goes with that 10 of Wands of them being basically a workaholic. I think this is someone who takes on way more responsibility than they need to, and most of the time that is at work, but maybe it's also at home or in their relationships with other people. Maybe they volunteer. Maybe they've just overextended themselves. They need more time. And I think that you coming into their life, you remind them to take time out for themselves, to slow down and to not overwhelm themselves, because you really have to pace yourself in order to have the energy to put back into the things that are important. Now this also says progress, and that's really what this person is all about, is progress. This person would not be satisfied with someone who is stagnant, with someone who is not interested in growing and learning. So definitely, I think the people who are viewing this pile, because this is your future spouse, you are someone who also values self-development and trying new things, and you have a certain level of curiosity, which is why you and this person get along so well. So congratulations to my pile threes. That is it for your reading. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I put out a new video once a week. Thank you again, and take care. If you selected pile 4, spiritual maturity, welcome to your reading. Let's figure out the details about your future spouse. Before I start reading the cards, I want to go ahead and point out the zodiac signs that I see represented here. So we have Sagittarius and Taurus. And both of those energies are actually here pretty strongly, so I can see either or, maybe your future spouse has that as their sun sign, or it's a sign of another important part of their chart, so their moon, their rising sign, their Venus sign, but generally they are embodying both the Sagittarius and the Taurus energy, which I will get into more as I begin reading the cards. So the first card in your spread here is this Maiden of Cups, which is equivalent to the Page of Cups. And I always say this when it comes up in a video, but this is my favorite card in all of tarot because it really is this card that is optimistic, open-hearted, sweet. It represents creativity and beauty and magic and love and romance and all the pleasant things in the world, basically. So what I'm picking up from this is that your future spouse is someone who does have those qualities. This is someone who is pretty open-minded. They're very honest. They approach things with a big level of optimism, which I think can be confusing for some people. Actually, when I first kind of was shuffling and I got these cards, the first thing that popped into my mind was a character example from the show And Just Like That, which is the Sex and the City spinoff, if you haven't seen it. But in the show, Anthony begins dating this guy who worked for him, and the guy, I don't remember his name, but he's Italian, like from Italy. He's a poet. He's really like physically gorgeous, and he also is very patient with Anthony, who keeps kind of trying to push him away because he doesn't trust the relationship for a lot of reasons. He feels like, maybe I'm being used because I don't understand how someone could want me when they have so many amazing qualities, basically. And so your future spouse reminds me a lot of that Italian character. This is someone who has a lot of creativity. They, might actually write poems. They might write you a poem. They have a lot of ways that they like to express themselves creatively and emotionally. And they're extremely patient with you in particular, but just generally, like, your person has such a calm energy where they don't really get caught up in what other people's expectations are. They don't really care if other people don't understand their lifestyle or their choices or what they want. They feel like if it makes me happy and it's not hurting anyone, and if it makes you happy and it's not hurting anyone, why not do it? And I think this person's optimism, their kind of easygoing approach to life will really charm you. And that's another thing with these kind of Page of Cups figures, is that they tend to be people you get along with almost immediately. This is someone you meet once and then you're like best friends. You're like, we should hang out. And in this case, obviously there's a romantic tie here. So this is someone where maybe you meet and you immediately hit it off. Maybe you do start out as friends, or you immediately go on a date. There's just, I keep saying the word optimism, but I really do think that word perfectly encapsulates your future spouse. They are so hopeful and they are so resilient, and they don't really let setbacks or outside opinions or even maybe your insecurities when it comes to the relationship stop them from loving you or loving the world around them, or putting out their kind of good, stable, gentle energy. So the second card in your spread here is the Three of Wands. And so for a lot of you, I'm picking up that this person could be foreign. So they could be literally from like another country, another continent, another state. For some of you, it's not that extreme. Maybe it's another city, especially if you're someone who's kind of grown up in the same area your whole life. This is someone that is you've not met before because they've been somewhere else. Maybe you could even meet this person while traveling. And I also think that this person probably is well-traveled. And I think because they were born in a different place than you and kind of grew up in a different place than you, your backgrounds and how you were raised are pretty different. So, for example, this person could have grown up in a completely different religion than you. They could have grown up with like a very wealthy family or a very poor family, whereas you maybe experience the opposite, or financial stability or whatever. And so I think this person's different experiences kind of makes them a little interesting. You like that they have something different to you, because I feel that for a lot of you, you feel like all of the people around you are kind of the same. You've yet to find your unicorn, which is that's what the creature is on this card. You're looking for someone who has something different, who has their own unique flavor and life experience, and is not necessarily preoccupying themselves with trying to fulfill certain standards or come across a certain way. So, for example, if you grew up in a small town in, small town USA, and you know everyone that you went to school with, and you know who's dating who and who got married and who had a kid and who's working where, this is someone who is not particularly concerned with impressing other people, or they don't mind being seen as weird for not having the same values or the same life experiences as the people around them. They feel like the people who are meant to be in their life will get it, and people who don't. And maybe that's how you feel too. And so I think you have kind of a kindred spirit in this person where you're really drawn to each other, because it feels almost like a needle in a haystack to find someone who has that level of self-assuredness, but not cockiness, and just generally optimism and kind of joy for life. So the card in the middle of the spread here is the Seven of Wands, and this is where I really am picking up on that resilience I mentioned. I do think that your future selves, because they are optimistic, because they are resilient, any challenge that's thrown at them, they always tend to come out on top. I feel like if something bad happens to them, they're like, well, it happened. I can't change that it happened. All I can do is move forward and try to work with what I have. And that's a difficult mindset to be in for a lot of people. But I think your future spouse is very good at letting go of things that they can't control. And that gives them this kind of air of zen. They have this ability to also calm you down. If you're someone who experiences a lot of anxiety, they're very good at being like, it's everything has worked out up until this point, and even if the absolute worst thing were to happen, we could fix it. It's just, one door shuts, so that way you look for the second door. And I think that you really appreciate, again, that optimism. Another thing about the Seven of Wands is that in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck, the Seven of Wands has a person on it who is wearing two different kinds of shoes. And I always think of that as, being able to walk in someone else's shoes, metaphorically, which means being able to see things from another person's perspective. So I think, and still be able to defend your perspective, still be able to choose the right thing. And I think that really encapsulates how your future spouse sees the world. This is someone who could be a great mediator. They could be a great therapist, honestly. People can come to them for objective advice because this person can really understand other people's motivations in a way that is harder to do for people who are more myopic, people who don't really know how to look past their own motivations. So your future spouse definitely can be like, well, they're in this argument because, this person feels this way and this person feels this way, and both of them are correct, but also, there's a middle ground to be had. And I think that being able to understand other people's emotional viewpoints is really a strength for your person. And I think they're really well liked. They probably have really long-lasting friendships because of that. And I think that attitude really taps into the pile marker that you selected too, this spiritual maturity, which is about someone who kind of has that nuanced understanding of saying, I don't have all of the answers. I will never have all of the answers. I can believe what I want to believe, and I do believe what I believe, and I believe in it strongly, and I'll, defend my belief of it, but I won't ever tell someone else that their perception or their belief is incorrect. And I think that is really just the overall attitude of your person. Not just with spiritual matters, although that could be the case. I could definitely see this person having grown up in like a religious family, and maybe they got older and they said, you know what, I don't want to be in this religion, or I want to convert to another religion, or I don't want to be religious at all. And they tell other people, I don't care about your particular religious beliefs. This is just what I believe. And I think everyone should have the space to make that decision for themselves. This is definitely not someone who would be like, those hyper-religious fanatics who are like, if you don't believe the same thing that I believe, then you're definitely going to like rot for all eternity, which I think is so entitled, so assured in a way that's it's hubris. And I think this person has enough perspective to know not to be like that too, which is nice. For the next card in your spread here, after the Seven of Wands, we have Temperance, which is a card that represents the zodiac sign Sagittarius, which is why I said that earlier. Another thing about Sagittarius is it's a very philosophical sign. It's a sign that likes to travel. So again, there is that foreign aspect here. I do think that your person is from a different place than you. They might be like another ethnic background, another racial background, another nationality. But I think also they enjoy traveling on top of that. So they've probably been around the world. And this person really is a deep thinker. And another thing about Sagittarius, again, very optimistic, which is what this person is. So they are very interested in kind of deep philosophical conversations. They're not really small talk people. They're the kind of people who want to hear about your beliefs and, extraterrestrial life, or what was your relationship like with your parents? They really want to go deep. But they're very non-judgmental, so people feel that they can approach them. They may be the type of people where they go out in public and strangers just kind of come up to them and start talking to them because they have such welcoming, warm, calming energy. And if you think of Temperance, this is a card that's really about balance and finding that middle ground, not rocking the boat too much either way. So this person's not manic, but they're not super low or depressive. This person has such a calming influence in their whole life and around. They probably really enjoy relaxing, but they're not, slovenly. They are hard workers, but they're not overburdening themselves. They're really good at having that emotional, physical life regulation. And I do think they're hard workers because the last card in your spread here is this Crone of Pentacles, which is equivalent to the King of Pentacles. The King of Pentacles is someone who is so reliable. They are a hard worker. You can come to them and probably their bank account is solid, but also they have a very solid character. This is someone that you can really trust. They just exude trustworthiness. The King of Pentacles is associated with the sign for Taurus. And the Taurus, if you know anything about that zodiac sign, is known for being kind of like homebodies, very sensual, but also very stubborn. And I don't know that your person, I don't feel that they're stubborn. I think that they are confident in what they personally believe, but they're not really, again, they don't project their beliefs on other people. They don't feel like they're the only person in the world that can be correct. But I do think that they are extremely sensual in the way that a Taurus is, because I think they really know how to find the balance of life. They like to try new things and have fun, but they also know when it's time to buckle down and be responsible and do the work. And so I think that's really kind of their approach to your relationship also, is that they know when it's time to have the serious conversations. But they also want to keep the spark alive. They don't want it to get too mundane. And so I see you really being very happy with this person. And if you look at the pile marker you selected too, the imagery on this card has a couple that is kind of walking on this long path together toward this lit up eye or enlightenment. So I think together you stay together for a long time, you grow together, you come into your spiritual enlightenment, your spiritual fulfillment together. And I think that's a really beautiful place to be at. So your love oracle cards, the first one is the Sword and Rose. And I was just listening to a podcast episode the other day. It was Love, Lust, and Magic, which is Gabriela Herstik's podcast. She had a guest on that was maybe like an herbalist, or just, she did a lot of like plant magic. And she was talking about how flowers and plants can teach us a lot. And she said, for example, the rose, you think about the petals are so silky, so smooth. Roses are known for being fragrant and beautiful, but also they have thorns. And so roses are a way of asserting both, that kind of openness, that sensuality, and establishing boundaries. And I think that's just such a good way to describe your future spouse. Is this is someone who is very gentle, approachable, very sensual, very easy and gentle to be around, but also they are good at establishing those boundaries and not allowing themselves to be taken advantage of. They really dislike judgmental people, and they're not afraid to kind of say, when other people are stepping too far or inserting themselves too much or inserting their opinions too much in their life. And that's coming through, as I said, this is the Sword and the Rose. And swords in tarot represent intellect, thoughts, philosophies, clarity. That's actually what this card says: clarity, truth, revelation, solidarity, force, honor, protection, and power. So your future spouse is someone who is very eloquent. They're very good at expressing themselves, and in a way that is both very kind, but also protective of their space, their energy, and their time. And I think people really respect that about them. They have both this hardness when it comes to establishing their boundaries. They don't tolerate disrespect of themselves or other people, but also they have such a gentle demeanor. This could be someone, I just heard gentle giant, so they could be like a very tall person or kind of like a very bulky person who who still has such like a gentle, like teddy bear energy. The second love oracle card here is Camera, which says reminiscing, keepsake, perception, learn from the past, and make memories. So again, I think this person's well-traveled. They probably do like talking about all the places that they've been and the cool things they've done. And they want to hear what you've done as well. I'm also getting that this person, it's very important to them to not keep making the same mistakes. So they definitely are a big believer that, if I do something and it doesn't work out, I'm going to learn the first time and I'm going to move on. And that's kind of the energy of the Seven of Wands in the middle of the spread too, which is a card about if you have people or energies or situations stacked against you, you can still come out on top if you stand your ground and just, learn to move away, basically. And I think that is exactly what your person has done. And it seems like they have grown so much, like from the circumstances that they started in their life in to where they are now. I feel like this is someone who's constantly changing and evolving. Like if you ask them where they were 2 years ago, it would be completely different where they are now. And that might be physically, but also I just think emotionally, mentally. And I think this person really values that growth and that spiritual maturity, which is what your pile marker was. So congratulations to you, my pile fours. Your future spouse sounds awesome. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I put out a new video once a week. Thank you again, and take care.